two, one, and we're back. Welcome back, football mezzanine fans. This is Tristan and Anch. Shrikar unfortunately can't make it to us for tonight because he's decided to do a 10% quiz.
I
with
know,
his
right?
mark.
It's
What a
only worth
loser.
10%, mate. Get over
What a
here.
loser. Take the shot and do the podcast. Get your priorities straight.
That's how
But,
it should work.
We're back, starting off with the Manchester Derby, a big one on this weekend with a like a blowout as far as I was concerned, game-wise went. Man City all over Man U. What were your thoughts, Ange?
My thoughts?
Yeah.
I don't have any thoughts.
You want
I
to
just
summarize
have
it in three
joy
words?
and 3 words?
Yes.
Okay. David Silva. I'm going to say names, not words.
Okay.
David Silva, Aguero, and Gundogan. Those are my 3 words.
Okay, I'll count David Silva as one.
Okay. He is one. He's
But-
one with Bernardo Silva.
So-
The two Silvas are beautiful to watch. And Man City in this game were beautiful to watch. And Man United in this game, fans, cover your eyes, honestly. It was... Let me just give you like a single stat from the game. I know you're the stat guy, but just one
You're
stat.
stealing my role here. What am I going to have to do?
Yeah, you might as well. I can just do
Until
a single
transfer
person
seasons,
podcast.
I have nothing.
No, but when Man City scored their first goal in the 12th minute or something, it was, they had 91% possession, and they had completed 96 passes compared to Man United's 6 passes.
That's incredible.
6 passes
That's-
in 12 minutes.
That's ridiculous. Actually, yeah, building off the stats there, I remember hearing something where it was Lukaku and Sanchez, I think, had something like a combined 4 passes in the game.
Yeah.
And
then
you have Phil Foden, who goes on 2 minutes, gets 7 passes.
Yeah, it just sums it up, man. That was like the easiest derby I've ever watched in my life. I'm like the most nervous person when it comes to watching games, even though I know we're like on our best form. But this game, I wasn't even like, I don't think I was ever nervous except like that little 10-minute spell. But even then, I wasn't really as nervous as I was last time we played them when we lost 3-2, because even when we conceded, we still looked in control. Like when Martial scored that penalty, a lot of people were thinking it could be a repeat of last season, but they never really gave United a single chance. That was their only shot on target, by the way, that pen.
Speaking of that penalty, Ederson, that's his second mistake now in 2 games. I think he committed a similar mistake in the prior game as well. Is that right?
He did. He
Yeah.
did pretty much the exact same thing. And it is a blot on his record because it's kind of annoying because half our goals this season that we've conceded have been like penalties.
Yeah.
So that's not nice. That's kind of annoying, actually. I'm sure Guardiola had a go at him because in such an important game, you can't make silly mistakes like that. And it seems like he's always on the edge of doing that, like rushing out and getting the player. But since he's just like that type of goalkeeper that's always going to come out in any situation, like that's always prone to happen. You know what I mean?
So I was reading some of the comments on Reddit. They were mentioning that. I think on the, I'm not sure if it was the Premier League sub or another one, but there was a bunch of people saying that he's probably just bored in the nets.
Yeah,
You have
I read
something
that too.
Just like the equivalent of like say like FIFA, where you're playing like an 11v11 side, where each person controls like a separate individual player. Someone's the goalie, and they just get bored, so they just start coming out and charging. Just holding,
Honestly
like,
though,
holding the triangle button.
he didn't have a
Something like
single
that.
save to make. Like, it's ridiculous. I sympathize with him. Like, I'd be bored if I was playing in that Man City team because, I mean, the only thing the goalkeeper has to do is play ridiculous passes. Like,
Yeah.
some of the passes he played in this game were just crazy. Like, he knocked it up all the way to the other corner flag where Sane was waiting. And it's just like, I can get it. I get why he's bored.
Didn't Pep tear into him last game?
I don't know if he teared into him, but I'd like another Amazon Prime documentary to find out. That would be nice.
But I
But-
mean, other than that, though, it was a pretty stellar game from Man City. I mean, Man U's not an easy side, and I'm not sure whether just Man U played brutal this game or it's just Man City playing that well, and it just made Man U look like they played kind of like shit. But
Yeah, that's a question that pretty much everyone debates over after a game like this.
it's true.
But I think in this case, it's a combination of you have to acknowledge that United didn't have their best midfield player, which was the player that got them back into this game last year,
It's
which was
true. Yeah,
Pogba.
Pogba's a huge loss for them.
And look, coupled with the fact that Lukaku was off form, so he was on the bench.
Yeah, he's
Sanchez
been a little
was
rough.
probably rested for after midweek because they had such an intense game. I'm not sure why he was on the bench. So a midfield three of Fellaini, Matic, and Herrera was just no match. Like, come on, like that's not gonna get close to City's midfield, and they didn't even get close. Bernardo
Yeah,
Silva, David Silva could do literally whatever they wanted on the field. They were having a field day. Sterling and Mahrez were doing like step overs. Aguero smashing it in from the corner, which a lot of people say De Gea should have saved, but it was so much power that I feel sorry for De Gea. Like,
yeah. I mean, to be fair, every goal's got kind of his rough moments too. You can't be on top form all the time, but it's
yeah.
just yeah. I mean, that game, Man City was all over them. They destroyed them in every single category. You could pick one randomly, just throw a dart at it, and you'd get Man City leading. And
One of the
Martial at least putting one in, continuing the form. He's been kind of the top man for Man U in the past successive games, at least from what I know. Like I've
yeah.
noticed.
I think he's back to his first season form where he was first signed. He was like the man that they looked to get them into games, back into games, or win them games, and he is like that player for them right now too. Like,
Yeah,
in
and
Juventus too, he kind of sparked that whole comeback, even though he didn't score. And again, he calmly put it away the pen this game. What were you
Matic
saying?
is. I was gonna say Matic has also been kind of rough around the edges. He's had a pretty
He's had a shit season.
yeah. He's been. A lot of people are saying that he's had basically like the amount they paid for half a good season from him, pretty much.
How
Like the
much did they
last
pay for him? Like 40 mil or something?
Oh yeah, like and I think that was something like 40 million pounds or something like that. They paid a lot, and that's why Chelsea sold to him. Well, two reasons. One, kind of as a thank you for the years that you've done with us and to help us,
Thank you.
but more so also for the money. I mean, they got a lot for him. And at the time, I was actually kind of part of me was like, yes, you know what, the funds are pretty good, but kind of against it because he was kind of a pivotal point for us and really gave us kind of like depth in the mid. But
Oh yeah.
right now, it seems like potentially a good sell at this point.
I mean, right now Chelsea aren't even playing with a DM. They're just playing with
Yeah.
Jorginho, which isn't really a DM. But
Yeah, and N'Golo
yeah,
Kante is kind of now free to move forward.
yeah, he's like more of an attacking midfielder, which is interesting.
Yeah, but
But
we'll actually get to Chelsea more in depth
we'll
later
get to
on.
Chelsea. Yeah, you're right. But what just amazes me is how like someone like Matic, who you would say was like one of the most consistent players in the Premier League,
Yeah,
especially when he was at Chelsea, and when he has like game after game after game where he's garbage, like that should make you question whether something else is really going on because
what's
these
interesting too is he's under Mourinho, which is basically what he's known
exactly
for the Premier League. So you think if
exactly
anyone can get the best out of him, it would be Mourinho. But
exactly. So I really have no clue what is making every single player at United, bar like one or two, play so poorly every single game.
now let's be
I
fair to Man U. I think here they've had a good recent upturn of form, and everyone I think, or at least we definitely we talked about it this I think last time that we expect Man U to lose to City in this match.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To Juventus, we were actually saying like, you know what, it's not clear cut, but they ended up pulling the win out on that one.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge loss. It's not a big hit. They're far from being like in trouble, especially if they can kind of continue their upward trend of wins. They'll get back out of kind of like the bad zone for Mourinho, the
Yeah,
red zone, I
but
guess. But
I don't know if they'll make the top four this year. Actually, I don't think they will make top four
yeah,
this year.
I mean, there's a lot of games to go, so it really does depend. But yeah, top four, especially with it being such a close title race up at the top.
Like,
Top
I
four
think
is a
I can.
stretch.
I think we can safely say that three of the top four are essentially locked down to the three unbeaten teams right
You know
now.
what? It's very early. I'm very afraid of saying that, but it is if they continue their fine form that they have now, their undefeated form. Then potentially, yeah, I can continue. Like it'll be locked down if they just kind of continue it. I agree. But like Arsenal's doing
Yeah.
well, and they're still up there, and that puts in fourth.
Yeah,
Spurs
and then
aren't very far off at all.
exactly, and
That's
then
a
you have
tight
like those
five
two.
right off the bat.
Exactly, and I don't think United can break that
So
five.
Europa, I think, would be a reasonable bet.
Yeah.
This year, I think what they're gonna have to do summer wise is they're gonna have to rebuild, regroup, and kind of go with a strategy of kind of getting a this is how we're going to play. This is how the kind of players we want to play that form. Everyone needs to learn it. I think they need a
It's not,
regrouping, a big regrouping.
but that's literally what they do every summer for the past 4 summers. It's like, oh, another disappointing season. We have to regroup in the
Kind of, I
summer,
guess.
and then they try to, but it never ends up
Yeah,
working out.
they've been hoping a manager will kind of like bring in that form and get everyone together, but I feel a lot of the players just they're not matched well for whatever system they're trying to pull, and I find Mourinho's pretty good with kind of taking like players that are underdeveloped or not as good and bringing the best out of them, whereas I don't know. It's a rough season for Marino, but we'll see what happens. Though they have been on fine form at least as of late, or well, fine. They've been on better form. So, but
I guess.
this was expected. I'm not even going to chalk anything to this. They're far from being in a rut right now. Man City deserved to win this, but they were expected to as well. Especially with Man City's form, they've been impeccable. I don't know how, but they picked it up basically from last year.
They're better than last year. It's
Yeah,
insane. I don't know
it's just
how he does it, man.
it's not even the
He
points
gets
or the wins; it's the quality that they play each game while winning.
yeah. I don't know how he gets his players motivated for every single game every 3 days. I mean, obviously a derby is easy to get motivated for, but like
Yeah,
they treat every game like it's like a final. The amount of intensity the players are playing at is just ridiculous. Like every single player is on form. Like there's not a single player right now who is playing like yeah, he's good. Like they're at the very very top of their game.
yeah.
David Silva is 33 years old, but like he's playing the best he's ever played.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's something special. It's like I don't think we'll see anything like this for a while. Like enjoy it while you can is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
As even as a neutral, like it's something special.
I guess to kind of wrap this up, do you put anything on Pep choosing Mahrez over Sane?
Interesting question. But yeah, I mean, I think Sane has been sort of under the pecking order just the entire season actually.
Hmm.
It's not just this game. Mahrez has been ahead of Sane for most of the season because just simply because Sane has been poorer than Mahrez. Like
Yeah,
he's still developing as a player, so
it's
like
true. Yeah,
don't read too much into it. But like Mahrez is more experienced. He has more of an end product as of right now,
it's true.
and yeah, like I'm sure Sane will get back in the team if he keeps working hard. He's only like 21 or 22.
Oh yeah, he's got plenty of years. Are you happy though that Mahrez? I know at the beginning you were wondering why they bought him, but do you think it ended up working out to be a good buy?
I mean, he's playing well, so I can't really argue with it.
And it
The
gives you
the only
another option up at the front too, right?
yeah,
Especially
for
if
sure.
someone's not playing up to par, you at least have a rotation system in there.
Yeah, exactly. So like I don't know whether the buy of Mahrez has made Sane play a bit poorer
Yeah.
or whether the buy of Mahrez has compensated for the fact that he's been playing poor, you know? Like I'm kind of confused. But like it's good. Like we're winning games and everyone's playing well, so it works out.
So how about we move on just for time's sake and quickly cover maybe a couple of the other games and then go into the deep dive.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's just quickly jump into the Arsenal Wolves one. Good match, especially for Wolves. 1-1 tie against Arsenal, who's been pretty good this season. They've
Yeah.
Wolves has
Um
kind of shocked me this season. I didn't expect this out of them at least.
yeah, I honestly I thought Wolves and Fulham were the two promoted teams who would kind of be in the top half of the table, and Wolves are proving me right. Fulham are at the very, very bottom.
Oh yeah,
So,
their whole other issue.
but yeah, Wolves are not scared of any of the top six. Like, they were the only team other than Liverpool that took points off Man City. So they're a quality team.
I think if anything, they
Um,
probably throw some fear in the top six side because I
they
mean the
definitely
game can
do.
go either way.
They have so much quality in their top line. Like it's scary. You
Yeah.
can't leave them alone, and that's what Arsenal did. They got caught out in a counterattack,
Hmm.
and they got punished for it. But expect Wolves to keep improving this year, honestly,
It's
and
a
maybe even challenge for like the top six in a couple of years because their team is so good.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, I was gonna say it's an unfortunate draw for Arsenal because they just punished them kind of in possession and passes alone. Like you had 72% possession for Arsenal out of and then 28 for Wolves obviously, and then they had 734 passes, which were almost double of what Wolves had. I think actually double.
Yeah. And I mean, they were about to lose until Mkhitaryan equalized, so that keeps their sort of unbeaten run going.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, at least
it
they
is
were
their
able to
unbeaten run.
salvage the
Yeah.
draw off that one.
Yeah, so they're still in the hunt, and Emery continues to do a good job for me, even though this was a minor setback. I still think they're going to be very close to Tottenham for that last spot in fourth place,
Hmm.
and especially with them having a Europa League, like him rotating pretty much his entire team for the Europa League and still getting the wins over there is
Yeah.
like a huge bonus for them. They have a deep squad too.
Yeah,
So
and I
Arsenal
was think
looking good.
and then
What were you saying?
I was gonna say Lacazette got called up to the French national team too, if I remember correctly.
But then he withdrew. He
Exactly.
withdrew. Yeah.
Do you know why he withdrew?
So I think it's just injury.
Oh,
But like
okay.
so many players do that now. They're like, I just have a small injury, so I can't get
Which I
called
guess
up.
is fair. I mean, if
Which makes
you don't
sense.
want to
Yeah.
sometimes potentially strain it, then not be able to play in the club, and also not really be able to help much for your team. I mean, you could
Yeah.
alternatively accept and maybe go on the bench or something like that. But I mean, if you're going to take a spot of someone who can actually play, I guess I don't see why, right? Unless it's
Yeah,
the World Cup
exactly.
or something, and you're 50%
Yeah.
fit or something.
Like I feel like if there was a club game coming up, they wouldn't be injured. But since it's the international break, they would choose to go with that injury. That's what I
Yeah,
feel like happens a lot of times.
yeah, exactly. So I guess honor of Shrikar, let's move on to the Liverpool Fulham game.
To honor Shrikar, we can just skip it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? He's not here. We'll maybe put like a minute in. So Liverpool wins 2-0 against Fulham. Absolutely. I mean, completely outshot them. 21 right to 8. Possession again. Passes all higher. I mean, uh, we have
Yeah.
Shaqiri and Salah scoring. Shaqiri's been great for them. They were a great, or he was a great buy, especially for the price. I think they paid for him something like 25 million euros
I
around
thought it
that.
was like 13 million, like pretty much
Oh, maybe
nothing.
even less. Oh shit. Or was that
Yeah.
pounds or something like that? I think 13 million is
Uh
way too cheap for him.
oh yeah. I mean, Stoke were relegated. They had to let him go. So
Yeah,
I get why.
it's true. Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean, he's been
the
great
Cube's
for
been
them
doing
though.
well. They had to bounce back after that horrible game in the middle of the week. They had to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people will be like crisis.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's not a crisis after all. They're still unbeaten in the Premier League,
Yep.
and
One of
the only
three
shock is
games.
they only won 2-0, honestly, because they destroyed Fulham, except that offside goal,
Yeah.
which was very, very close. And I know a lot of Fulham fans are pissed off about that. So,
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess since we won't be talking about this game, speaking of pissed off, that interview, that post-match interview by what was it?
Charlie Austin,
Yeah,
by
Charlie
South.
Austin
Oh,
for Soton, Southampton.
Southampton, yeah.
What'd
I
you think of
loved it.
that?
I
So if
freaking
for
loved
anyone who's
it.
listening who didn't see, go check it out. I mean, every question that the reporter gives him, he somehow just kind of spins back to being pissed off, and it was about the ref and being the ref's fault entirely.
He's probably gonna get charged, but fuck that, man, because the refs have to
Probably.
take responsibility for their mistakes. If the players have to take responsibility, why don't the refs have to take responsibility? It's literally like we're not living in the dark ages where you don't have free speech. It's literally you can't even say a word against the refs.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like he said the ref cost him 2 points, which is objectively like true. He
Hmm.
said the ref made a mistake. Like, what's wrong with saying that? He did. The FI, if anything, the ref should come out and say, like, yeah, I made a mistake, instead of charging the player for it.
Yeah, one of his comments was basically along the lines of the Premier League has like some of the best quality football in the world. Should have the best refs in the world. Why can't they be trained better? Go train them, basically, to be
Or
better.
he says, like, get them the help they need, like, get them
Yeah,
VAR, because they clearly need help. His words.
yeah. I'm not sure why they didn't try and run it through this season, but I guess they're still trying to make sure that all the
The
kinks are
FA
ironed
is a
out.
joke, man. The FA is honestly a joke. I can't stress it enough.
But yeah, so clinical win for Liverpool. I guess that moves on to two games left that we really wanted to cover. One of them being just, I guess, Spurs quickly. 1-0 win for them against Crystal Palace. Again,
One
Crystal Palace
fourth.
only seems to turn out for Liverpool, according to Shrikar. So,
Yeah. I don't have much to say about this game except a great confidence boost for young defender Juan Foyth.
yep.
Pretty much unknown. I barely even knew him, but
So I
he,
didn't until basically this game. So,
yeah, but he scored the only goal to win the game,
hmm
and I saw like a nice video where everyone was congratulating him after. It was great to see. Uh, yeah,
it was
Spurs
good
win
because
1-0.
it was good because it kept them on pace too in the league to kind
Seems
of
like all their wins in the league have been like 1-0, 1-0, 2-1. But like exactly, it just keeps them on pace, so it's
yeah,
okay.
because right now they're sitting at fourth in the table with 27 points, just one behind Chelsea and
Yep.
three behind Liverpool at second. So they're still in good
Yeah.
position. And I mean, all the kind of media hype has been around Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea just with the unbeaten streaks.
Yep.
But Tottenham's been right there and just not getting as much attention as I guess they should. But
Well, it's been a weird season for them because they've done so well, yet they've done so poorly at the same time
yeah,
in the
compared
Champions
to the
League.
top three.
In the Champions League,
Oh
like
yeah,
it's been
yeah,
a
the Champions
disaster for
League.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
but
was a whole other thing.
Spurs win. What else? It's our Chelsea game now. Chelsea
Yeah,
Everton, right?
getting into the Chelsea, which will actually tie into our deep dive later on. But just getting into this one, it was a draw for Chelsea, so not what they would have hoped for, not what they would have liked, but nevertheless continues the unbeaten run and actually gave Maurizio Sarri a new Premier League record, which was previously held by can't remember the manager's name, but it was not Nottingham in 19 early 1990s, which is basically new manager coming in the season, longest unbeaten streak, and prior it was 11. This game made it 12. So congrats to him on getting that result. I mean, complete turnaround for them.
Would you
Unfortunate game.
say he smoked that record out of the books?
You know, that was
I'd
pretty
say
good.
so.
That was pretty good.
Thanks, man.
But yes, and Pickford in this game playing incredible. Just so many nice saves.
Yeah, he's he's a legend. He's a legend. I love Jordan Pickford. Just I I can't think of Pickford without think of him yelling at that in that Croatia game in the World Cup. You know,
Oh yeah.
against Mandzukic. I don't know if you remember, but he's a lad. He's a proper lad, Jordan Pickford, and he saved Everton in this game
Yeah.
because Chelsea actually played really well. Then on another day they might have gotten the win.
Yeah, I know, unfortunate circumstance for them, especially because if they won this, it would have pushed them into the lead, I think, or uh,
Above Liverpool, just on goal difference. Yeah,
oh yeah, 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 exactly. They would have gotten it. Well, yeah, they would have at least pushed them. Sorry, into the second place. I think
yeah,
prior they would have played before Man City. I think they would have temporarily pushed them. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Either way, it would put them in second place. But now
yeah.
they're 2 points behind Liverpool. Still with a higher goal differential than Liverpool, though, which is kind of nice to see because their goals for they have the second highest goals for in the league, and I mean this was a big issue last season because they didn't have well a high goals for. They were actually pretty poor on that end,
Yeah.
and
But now they look. This draw hurts them a lot because they're pretty much out of the title race.
yeah, season's over. We're done. Pack it in. Might as
I'm
well
just
just forfeit the
honestly
rest.
though, like the form that City are in, you guys need to win these games. Is what I'm trying to
We
say though.
do, yeah.
Yeah,
We
but
honestly do, and I don't think it's realistic for Chelsea for this season to get the title. I think it would take a bit of luck, honestly, in order to. And even with Liverpool now, if Man City keeps this form up, I don't even think Liverpool has a shot at it either. And I was
yeah,
picking Liverpool at the beginning of the season to win it. So we'll
I
see
was
what
too.
happens after kind of like the December break there. A lot of times things
Yeah,
can
that's
kind of
true.
shift, especially with a big break. You can kind of get a shift at that point.
That's true.
But this game, yeah, kind of 0-0 draw. Nothing too much to mention which should we're gonna try and keep this one a little short on tonight's end, but bring us into I guess the deep dive at this point. Although before we
Yep.
get into that, I guess there's a couple things we do want to mention. One is big news out of Real Madrid, them signing Solari as their official head coach.
It's
What?
not actually confirmed by Real Madrid, but it's
Oh,
pretty
really?
much gonna happen. Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
not confirmed by them yet.
Yeah, I think there were some big sources kind of
I
saying
mean,
that this
by the
was the
time we
case.
release the video, it'll probably be official. So sure, it's official.
That's true, yeah. Welcome to the future. It is official.
Yeah.
But whether this is for just the year or for further on than that, I think what they're going to do is probably check this season, see how it goes with him. If all goes well and turns it around, then they might sign him on longer or continue it longer. But
Yeah,
otherwise, they might then switch off to another option. I think their problem right now is they don't have a viable option that they want as head coach.
I think it's also interesting to note that the only reason they had to make this official because La Liga has a limit of 15 days for having an interim manager.
Oh,
So they're
really?
like, oh, okay, we're running out of limit. We just have to like go for it now.
Oh, shit. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
So they
Because
did
Premier
that.
League's been much longer than that. I mean, I remember Gus Hiddink for
Yeah, you guys had a fucking interim
Chelsea.
for like the longest time.
Yeah.
And then you
He did
guys
well
had like
for us. He brought us out of the relegation zone. Basically.
he did.
He's done that a couple times for us.
Yeah.
Super
Yes.
sub manager.
Yeah, that's pretty true. But yeah, and like at one point Ryan Giggs was straight up like a manager and a player at the same time. Like Premier League gives no fucks.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that was a rough go for them too. A rough period.
Um
But
so yeah, is there anything else you want to mention before we get into the deep dive?
yeah. Last thing I wanted to mention was Nasri. He was
Nasri.
Yeah, he's getting signed
might-
for West Ham now for Pellegrini. Actually, going back to his old manager.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason he's able to get back into football because of Pellegrini.
Yeah, because he had an 18-month ban for doping. I think,
Yep. Yep.
which is a long
Got
ban.
the snip
That's
snip.
incredible.
Yeah.
A year and a half. That's a big shutout. Basically,
I'm gonna be
where
honest.
you're not
I
playing.
think he's gonna be a good player for West Ham. Pellegrini can get the best out of him.
Yeah, and I think he's still got some talent too that he can bring.
He's
to
got a
their
lot of
side.
talent, man.
And
He's-
I mean, West Ham needs it this season, so.
He's a cunt, but he's a great player. Like, to be honest.
And what's interesting though is if I remember correctly, wasn't Pellegrini the one that started to actually shut him out of City, where Pep officially just shut him out? Like he started to lose play time under Pellegrini. You might be able to confirm or deny
At the
that.
very end, maybe a little bit, but I do remember him being one of Pellegrini's favored players
Okay.
because he is a quality player. One thing he does is he protects the ball like his life depends on it. He won't lose the ball.
Yeah.
And West Ham's midfield needs someone like that, I think.
Okay.
But anyway, interesting signing for West Ham if it happens. I know their fans are like, what the fuck? But
Yeah.
I think he'll be good for you guys. So just wait and see.
All right. Well, that covers basically our recap as far as segments go. Nothing too big. Otherwise, I mean, we had basically Juventus beating Milan.
Yeah.
Kind of Higuain getting pissed off, and that was it. But other than oh yeah, and then Dortmund, I guess, beating Bayern as well to continue their lead of
Yep.
the Bundesliga. But
Having a
this
great
takes
season.
us into the deep dive now, which the topic we wanted to cover on this one was actually the transition of Chelsea from last season to this season, because really, with the exception of Jorginho, there wasn't too much of a change as far as players wise go, and the whole, I mean, atmosphere, the play level, I mean, just everything is drastically different. So we kind of wanted to go into analysis of why that is, and what did Sarri really implement in order to get this transition to fruition. So kind of getting
Let's-
into that, we noticed with Conte, he was kind of more implementing this the 3-4-3 formation that saw them lead them to the title in 2016 to 2017, which was kind of a unique tactical development as far as the league goes for a three-man defense. But what Sarri does is he actually uses a 4-3-3 formation with like two number 10s there, where you see kind of like Hazard and Willian playing on that end. And
So what's interesting there is not to rip on Conte, because the 3-4-3 actually worked really well for him.
Yeah,
Like if you remember, like when he switched to it, he went on like this insane winning streak. I think like one of the best in the Premier League's history.
yeah,
And after he did, like a lot of managers tried to copy him too,
yeah.
because it was so successful. But so it worked well in the first season, but then after that, it obviously dropped off.
Yeah,
And I don't know if it was a system or just the players weren't happy with it.
I
So
think that was coming to an atmosphere thing between him and the players. I
yeah,
mean that could be. I think that was one of the downsides, especially when you saw him leave. There was a lot of players that were calling for his basically to the club and the board for his resignation or his firing, I guess. Uh, and I feel like a lot of it came down to like personality, atmosphere, kind of like
yeah, I'd say
a
it was more due to
conflict,
that. Yeah.
internal conflict, less so than the actual formation. And that's why,
Yep.
actually, I think part of the reason why we don't see him at Real Madrid is because Courtois was saying, "I do not want him here. I came here to get away from him."
I don't
And
think Courtois has a say in that though.
I,
I really don't
I
think
think
so.
he has a decent part of it. He's
I
gonna put his
mean,
output. If you hear a coach that you were previously with that you really didn't like, I think you're gonna mention that to kind of the president, to the board, saying like, "Look, I don't want him. I don't think he'll be good for us, etc." kind of thing. He's gonna deny those claims, but whether he said it definitely personally, for sure, or if not, like
I
maybe a
just
little
don't
bit
think he
to
has that
management.
say in the Real Madrid dressing room yet. Like, I know Ramos could say that. I know when
So
Ronaldo was there, he could definitely have that kind of influence. I don't know if Courtois has that yet.
let me clarify. They're not gonna do what he says, but he will voice it, and they're gonna probably consider it, like take it under consideration. I think
Maybe, maybe.
because otherwise, Antonio Conte seems like a decent grab as a coach, especially for the job, right? When it's kind of this part of the season.
But I don't think he fixed Real Madrid's style of football. Like, I don't think they want another Mourinho. They've already been through
He's
that,
got
and I
more of an
think
offensive style than Mourinho, though. I
a
mean,
little bit, but he's still on the defensive side, I'd say.
I think he was defensive a bit with Chelsea because they really did lack the offense, though. And I don't know if
I mean,
that's
he got rid of the offense by getting rid of Costa.
yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah, that was a huge hit for us. I regret that one, especially since he was just so good for us, and that's the big difference between the two seasons. But yeah, but anyways, we're getting off topic. Back to as far as Sarri, as far as implementing what he's done this year to really change it around, and you've seen kind of the likes of Barkley, who's been a huge addition as far as I mean, he came out of nowhere. But specifically, Sarri
Yep.
himself, he implements a 4-3-3 formation with two number 10s, which are generally like Willian and Hazard. And what he really has emphasized is a couple things. One is in the defensive third, he's kind of pushing them to do a lot more like a high press, a lot more pressure kind of thing, especially in the defensive third. And the other one is he's really been pushing back to a basics, which is kind of the three-man like run, like a third-man run, which is kind of a
Yeah,
taught at youth levels. And it for anyone who's not familiar, you basically what happens is you get someone who's say like on the center back position who will then pass it up behind one of the defensive lines, whether that be like the first defensive line, which could be kind of like your midfield forward scenario. So you push it somewhere into the midfield, and then they pass it back, which then feeds to a third man running through into the open space. Or what you can also see, which I can't remember if this was Crystal Palace that is a good example, or PAOK, where you have someone from the center back position who feeds it off to like our central striker, so like Murata or Giroud, which then they feed it off backwards, which then feeds to a third man running, kind of like Hazard or Willian going up the line, and I believe it was Hazard in this case.
yeah.
But
So basically, the trick with this is Sarri loves to fizz balls around the field because he loves to move the opposition around.
mhm.
And this third man run that you're talking about is basically where someone fizzes a ball into the striker. And the key for this is someone who has really good control of the ball. Like at
Yeah,
Napoli, he loved to do this with. He had Mertens, he had Hamsik, he has Insigne. He had like the perfect players for this. And this is why he plays all his attacking players at Chelsea. He
yeah,
plays Barkley, he plays Jorginho, he plays Willian, he plays Hazard. Conte sometimes would bench some of those players because he
yeah,
wanted a more defensive setup. But he loves that fizzing of the ball on the ground quickly to your player so the opposition's caught out, and then you do a quick 1-2-3 like you said. So you fizz it to the forward, he quickly lays it back, and then you have one of the wingers running down the sides.
Yeah.
and then the person who got it laid back, like usually a midfielder, like maybe it could even be Conte this season because he's playing further forward, or it could be Barkley.
Yeah.
And then they either feed it through the lines to those wingers or they feed it up to the striker, and that's like Chelsea's main tactic under Sarri, and it works because it catches the opposition out. Like it's very hard to stop fast passing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's a couple things like caveats to it. Yeah, one thing, first off, it doesn't have to necessarily be passed back. It can also be a first time like touch right off to the third man as well.
Yeah. I remember
Um,
there was this phase in games where every single game, Giroud and Hazard would have like an assist or a goal together,
yeah.
where like Giroud would flick it to Hazard, and Hazard, after a while, he said like Giroud was the best number 9 he ever played with because he
Oh
gave him
yeah,
so many assists.
it's
And
true.
that's the kind of feeding that the system gives you, and that's what Sarri loves to do.
Yeah, and basically the tactic allows you to kind of like break through your first defensive line and whilst like disorganizing your second defensive line as well, which is kind
Yep.
of a nice scenario. And as long as you're able to keep the the only caveat to this is the pace of your passes in the sense that you need to keep high, quick passing and quick build up. And if you
Yeah.
don't do that, then that's where they get caught off guard, and then now there's an issue with it where the system doesn't work too well.
Yeah. And the players have taken it on board. That's the biggest thing. If the players can't take it on board, then it doesn't matter. Either
Yeah.
if they don't enjoy it or if they're not good at it, you're going to do poorly. And I feel like the players he's used at Chelsea are perfect for it. Like he plays Barkley, as you said.
Hmm.
He plays Jorginho in a deeper role instead of Conte, so he can play those deeper passes.
Yeah, and you've seen actually N'Golo Conte actually be able to now move forward with it, and Barkley's
Yeah.
flourished under this. And it really comes down with they're able to, at least what's nice is you can move. Chelsea needs to move the ball with pace and basically with speed and keep that tempo because otherwise, if they're too slow, then you're going to see defense like kind of close down on the players. But with Conte, at least we've noticed that he's been able to move up and he's pacey too, and he's got an engine in him. He can just run forever. So like it's worked well for him, kind of freeing him up and moving him forward.
Do you think the players have taken this kind of attacking tactic more on board because of Conte's, like last year's coach, Conte's defensive tactics? So they were like, this is a breath of fresh air? Or do you think it's just that
Yeah,
Sarri is.
so that's definitely one of the reasons I would say, one of the reasons I would attribute to it. It's a nice change, fresh air, where you're now playing from a defensive scenario, more style to an offensive style, and uh, that's all what they wanted to do. That's what Hazard wanted to play, and he's been absolutely in top form as a result of it. Uh, and the other one I think has just been kind of like an atmosphere change. I mean, one, he's lifted some of the bans that were strict, like we mentioned earlier in prior podcasts, strict bans that Conte, prior manager, had put on the team. So one that kind of boosts the morale as well of them, and
Yeah.
kind of them. I think honestly, just a little bit of that with a better morale and them buying into it, really allowed them to quickly pick up this kind of like sorry ball, and as a result, do well with it. Now I think they're going to continue to get better as it goes on, but at this stage, I mean, you can't really ask
It's
more from.
astounding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a complete 180 at this point.
Yeah. It's. I don't think I ever expected this. I expected him to struggle a lot during the first few games, to be honest.
Yeah,
Because it didn't seem like it was a great summer for you guys, even though you got in the new coach.
yeah.
I thought maybe you guys would take a while to settle in, but like
They
he's just
they
come in with
he came in
stormed the
late
Premier League.
too. He came in really late as far
Exactly.
as and
Yeah.
I can only imagine maybe if he came earlier how it would have went, how much better they could potentially be. But if you, I guess if you wanted to sum up this whole change, Sarri's done like three things basically. He's changed the formation, he's repositioned players, while placing an emphasis on quick, short passing moves to play through the pressure that's put on them. And honestly, it's worked well. I mean, go back to basics, and sometimes that's all it takes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a pretty good summary of how they've changed.
Yeah, and I mean that basically recaps or that covers what I've noticed at least as far as their play from last year to this year. And
Um,
other than that, do you have any other comments or things you've noticed or you want to mention?
Not particularly, but if you guys have stuff you want to mention that you think we missed, because I'm sure we missed some stuff, then
Oh
like
yeah.
let us know in the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know in the comments down below if you're on YouTube, if you're on another platform, whether they have comments or not. And
Yeah, I mean, we'll try to find your comment among like the thousands of comments we get, but if we do, we'll definitely reply.
exactly, we'll try and find time in our busy schedule in order to respond. Uh, but other than that, do you want to do the awards, or are we calling it on this? We ran a little bit over time that we planned to for this
Okay.
one.
Yeah, I have like 2 minutes before I gotta run, but let's do Golden Dude and Disgrace. Let's start with Golden Dude.
Ooh,
Who do you
okay.
think?
Oh,
Let's
on this
see.
one, I,
Mm,
you know
it's
what?
I could give it to any Man City player, but I'm
That
gonna give it to Fernandinho.
Yeah, you know what? Sure, I'm fine with that. I was gonna give to someone on Man City. I mean, they were just too good in this form, at least. And
Okay,
yeah,
Fernandinho is the Golden Dude of the week.
and for the next one, we're going to be doing the biggest disgrace of the week, brought to you by Gary Neville. And that one's going to be, who
Hmm.
do you think, Ange?
Matic.
Matic? I
He was a
was gonna
disgrace.
say Sanchez or Lukaku. I mean, probably
I mean,
Lukaku
they
for
didn't even
that,
play the full game.
I guess.
Matic was a disgrace, man. I was a City fan, but I was watching it and I was getting like angry. Like, what is he doing? He's not even trying. He was jogging the entire game.
Oh man, I wanted to actually do Pickford for Golden Dude of the Week, but it's too late now.
It's too late. You can't do it now.
Yeah, it's too late now. It's already
We could
been
also do
rigged.
like Higuain or something if
Well,
you
we
want for
we already
golden
have.
disgrace.
I mean, the plaque already in like
Yeah, it's
inscribed
already
and
engraved.
everything. Yeah.
Sorry.
But okay, fine. You know what? We'll go with Matic for your biggest disgrace of the week. And that recaps, or not recaps, that finishes off the episode for this one, which was what, 34, I think, something like that.
34th
Yeah.
episode.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you're on one of our other platforms, we appreciate it. Leave reviews or comments if they're there. Also, if you're on another platform that isn't YouTube, please come to our YouTube. Show us some love. Hit that subscribe and like button. We appreciate it. It kind of allows us to gauge kind of how we're doing. Thank you, everyone, for listening, for watching. You can check us out next week as well. We'll be back. Shrikar should be back as well. And this
Should
should
be.
be Football Mezzanine signing off. Thanks, everyone.